Hi everyone, welcome. This is another Deep Tech Showcase webinar. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about security and compliance risks. And with us today we have Kim from Modus Operandi, and we're really excited to hear a little bit more about what they've been doing and some of the cool stuff they've been working on. So with that, I'll give the floor over to Kim. Kim, go right ahead.
Great, thanks, Asher. So welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kim Zelke, as Asher noted, representing Modus Operandi, a company with more than 40 years of experience serving government agencies and regulated industries. At Modus, we specialize in transforming complex data into decision-ready insight, leveraging cutting-edge AI and ML, semantic understanding, and automation. And today I'm excited to introduce you to Guardian, our AI-powered solution designed to modernize risk assessment, due diligence, and compliance. At Modus Operandi, we've worked with government agencies and regulated industries for over 40 years. And one challenge we see over and over again is the gap between intent and oversight, especially when it comes to risk, fraud, and compliance. Whether it's vetting proposals, ensuring due diligence, or guarding against foreign influence, the processes are manual, slow, and often inconsistent. The risk isn't just inefficiency, it's legal exposure, misallocated funds, and national security threats. Enter Guardian, an AI-powered compliance guard. Agencies must assess every applicant for foreign influence and disclosure risk. Guardian automates that, flagging affiliations, investments, and intellectual property vulnerabilities buried deep in proposals. Financial institutions can use Guardian to accelerate due diligence. Supply chain leaders use it to avoid export control violations. But Guardian isn't built for one agency. It's built for every mission or assignment that depends on trust and digital traceability. While Guardian was built to meet the rigor of national security vetting, its capabilities are equally valuable for organizations needing to know who they're funding or partnering with. Whether you're a federal grant maker, a university risk officer, or a venture fund evaluating dual-use tech, Guardian ensures you're not unknowingly engaging with high-risk individuals or entities. We use a hybrid architecture built on solid traditional machine learning modeling for classifying, risk scoring, and clustering, combined with large language models for applied language understanding, document summarization and explanation, data extraction, and external data retrieval. That's exactly why we built Guardian, a purpose-built AI platform that automates risk detection and compliance analysis at speed and scale. Guardian reviews submissions like SBIR proposals or investment documents and instantly flags issues related to formatting, compliance, fraud, waste, and abuse concerns, and foreign affiliations. It doesn't just flag issues, it shows you the why behind each alert, backed by document evidence and external data. So here's how it works. Proposal submissions are ingested into the system and entities are created. These entities or objects are extracted, then modeled to begin the establishment of relationships and attributes, people, organizations, technologies, and maps them into a structured knowledge graph for context-rich analysis and traceable insight. Additionally, this is tied with publicly available data retrieval that pulls from sources like Dun & Bradstreet, making the knowledge graph more powerful for walking the full thread to identifying deep-level ties to items like foreign shell companies. This is a small snapshot of Guardian's much larger due diligence ontology. We use ontological modeling, taking those abstracted objects and using properties such as has PAI to form the backbone of the knowledge graph. Ontologies define consistent terms and relationships, ensuring that compliance officers Technical reviewers and program managers interpret foreign affiliation, key personnel, or risk factor the same way. A shared vocabulary eliminates ambiguity across agencies, roles, and reviewers. Ontology-backed logic lets Guardian infer relationships not explicitly stated. For example, it can associate a subcontractor's international IP licensing as a foreign influence risk, even if not directly declared. We go beyond keyword matching. We understand intent and implication. Policies change. Ontological models are modular and updatable, allowing Guardian to adapt rapidly to new compliance rules, NDAA clauses, or ATO standards. One update to the ontology can reflect across every review instantly. Ontologies power structured data extraction, which feeds the Guardian knowledge graph, and this allows querying connections between people, companies, topics, and historical submissions. We're not just scanning documents, we're building a living compliance graph. Let me give you a real-world example. We've adapted Guardian to support MDA's SBIR foreign affiliation risk compliance process. The problem? Small businesses often don't understand what qualifies as a foreign affiliation. Reviewers are overwhelmed, and some risks are buried too deep to find manually. Guardian scans proposals and disclosure forms and automatically identifies red flags like foreign venture capital investment, undisclosed university ties, or joint ventures. So for the Missile Defense Agency, this means faster proposal reviews, clear documented audit trails, and stronger confidence that funding stays with compliant U.S.-controlled businesses. This is handled by reasoning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other analytics. Rules are applied, affiliations identified, risk factors assigned, and results are fully traceable and provide human in the loop for verification. The automation provides an amazing performance boost, analyzing a batch of proposals behind the scenes, allowing the differing roles to discover results on a given proposal for fraud, waste, and abuse, due diligence, foreign affiliations, as well as technical factors. Identifying elements that would automatically disqualify a proposal and flagging to decrease the volume of reviews, thereby clearly achieving time and cost savings. We do this through establishing a knowledge graph, linking the data and querying external sources to speed the internal search for relevant content and providing understandable visualizations. This is based on our core MOVIA object management system, which combines all content to allow highly performant queries over a large data corpus, providing context-relevant content to the user. So we logically group proposals by topic, type, allowing ease of filtering, which assists with reviewer assignment. This fraud, waste, and abuse machine learning modeling tool for content similarity has been operational for MDA for 6 years. Guardian expands this initial effort with a complete compliance suite. We are working hand in hand with DoD users to develop an intuitive UI. Land on a clean dashboard showing your assigned reviews and their current status, pending, in progress, or complete. You select a proposal and navigate across 3 tabs. Technical review, where Guardian checks for formatting, compliance, and proposal completeness. Fraud, waste, and abuse review, where we surface patterns tied to potential fraud, duplicate submissions, or content similarity, and alert database flags. Due diligence, where we assess foreign control risk based on affiliations, funding, or licensing. Each tab includes annotated evidence, color-coded risk indicators, and an exportable report reviewers can use for documentation or legal validation. This is a sample of a high-level review status for a given proposal. Our services walk the complete DoD due diligence policy So we'll show details of what portion of the risk matrix are non-compliant with full evidence of how that final result was reported. Risk assessment output includes generating semantic risk profiles per entity or proposal. Visualizing trace paths to sanction or high-risk nodes, providing exportable summaries for analysts and reviewers presented in a way that supports both defense-grade screening and transparent institutional reporting. So Guardian starts by screening all named individuals and affiliated institutions in the proposal against known risk entities. So this includes items like BIS entity list, executive orders, and provisions from the National Defense Authorizations Act. We check for direct and indirect affiliations like co-inventors or former employers and validate whether the affiliation occurred after the date the entity was listed, ensuring precise policy-aligned compliance, including those relevant to both national security and research compliance, such as foreign talent program affiliations or export restricted partnerships. Next, Guardian examines proposal metadata and named personnel, including the principal investigator, co-investigators, and the submitting small business concern. Our knowledge graph helps reveal hidden conflicts of interest or risky relationships by linking people, entities, and prior behavior across past proposals or data sources. It's ideal for vetting university grant applications, super sitter submissions, or even venture funding portfolios. To enrich and validate our understanding, Guardian cross-references multiple open data sources such as USPTO patent filings, publicly available institutional information, and international registries. Every match is fully documented with provenance, so analysts know where the insight came from and when it was recorded, cross-checking academic affiliations, publication history, and patent records to ensure transparency and ethical compliance. All this information is not stored in silos. It's connected through a rich ontology that powers Guardian's semantic graph. This lets us trace simple to complex relationships like submitted by, has publicly available info, or has risk factor. And we use Sparkle to answer critical questions quickly and automatically, enabling flexible queries whether you're evaluating export control risk, conflict of interest, or sensitive technology exposure. This is a visual we use behind the scenes as we identify risk based on the due diligence policy. We generate semantic risk profiles per entity or policy. We visualize trace paths to sanction or high-risk nodes, and we provide exportable summaries for analysts and reviewers. So building on our base analytics and using large language models, we extract elements of the proposal, such as key personnel, to kick off deeper levels of analysis. The results have been very promising, and we use multiple forms to verify accuracy of content. Guardian is already being used to streamline oversight and protect missions in high-stakes environments. So what's next? We're scaling it to integrate more external data sets, fine-tune scoring models by agency type, and support multi-agency collaboration on shared risk. So if you're a program reviewer, compliance lead, or supply chain risk officer, or whatever role requires digital traceability, we'd love to show you what Guardian can do in your context. Thanks again for having me. Look forward to your questions and continuing the conversation.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was fantastic. So as everyone sees, in the bottom of your Zoom on your Zoom bar, there's a Q&A section. Happy to take any questions anyone has, we'll give a few minutes for you guys to drum up some questions. In the meantime, if I'm allowed, Kim, if I'm allowed to ask them questions myself, um,
Absolutely.
can you talk about some of the other, I know you mentioned it briefly, but can you talk about some of the other government traction you guys have been working on, or also in addition to that, some use cases that, people might not think about just based off of the PowerPoint?
Absolutely. So definitely, one of the areas that we've been working with is NASA, and they have just a slightly different setup. They don't follow the DoD due diligence policy, but naturally, they have a very restrictive due diligence policy. I mean, basically following up on foreign affiliations and due diligence in that realm as well. So yes, we know that, it's really not tied to any particular data source type, but can be financials or anywhere where you would have a policy regulation, where you need to check that information. And really, we see that a lot of times it might not be too difficult to check at the surface level, but when you start trying to dig deeper, where you're really trying to uncover these, foreign risks, that's oftentimes something that requires requires automation, but it's more than just the automation. We discovered that a couple of different areas where things have been overlooked, just because there really wasn't time. There's only a certain period of time that people have to review this information before moving forward with a contract, a proposal, whatever that might be. There's only a certain amount of time, and having this automation is definitely amazingly different from working this in a manual perspective.
Absolutely. Agreed. Definitely saves time and probably also saves the success of projects, right? Being able to
Exactly.
just jump in there and get it done without having to, do it the old-fashioned way of looking things up, seeing if the database works, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And, in that same thread, it feels like reduced time for, it's review times are reduced by like 60%. Consistency across reviewers has increased significantly, for our current use case. And also there are certain things that were occurring before as manual risk reporting, that goes, up to OSD or OUSD, either one. And then, basically we're able to pre-populate risk reports that would otherwise take hours to do.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. All right. I don't see any Q&As. That being said, I mean, if anyone wants to okay. Dan Haney wanted to ask if these are in essence private LLMs.
So it's actually a hybrid approach, hybrid architecture. We do set it up where it has all to do with whether or not you need that on-prem LLM. But yes, mostly we have a tendency to go with on-site LLMs. And so basically applied language understanding, document summarization, all of that with our traditional ML modeling. So yes, and so cloud deployed, it can be cloud deployed, but oftentimes we have them in restricted cloud environments, say for example, like Air Force Platform One.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, thank you so much, Kim. And what we'll do is we'll send out the recording. Oh, someone else asked another question. From start to finish for a medium-sized engagement, how long would it take?
Or medium-sized engagement. So we have our ontologies in place, and so a lot of it is now we come into your domain and we take that data and apply a new ontology for your particular policy, et cetera. So 6 months would be a typical timeline for a medium size. And that's probably, that's making sure that we have all of your information in place and, turning that around quickly. It can be a shorter time frame. It has a little bit to do with the complexity of the policy that you're going after, but that's a good timeline.
The message, thank you. I think you can see it too.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank
Perfect.
you.
And yeah, so what we'll do is we'll send out the recording and the deck and also the, your contact information. So folks that were here could get into contact with you and we could, keep in touch with folks going forward. And thank you so much for presenting this, Kim. It was
Okay,
really
thank you.
informational.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone who joined and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.